Have you ever wondered if the angels and demons we read about in ancient texts or see in movies are real? Or are they just myths, figments of our imagination, designed to explain the unexplainable? Perhaps you've heard whispers about divine beings locked in eternal conflict, representing good and evil, light and darkness. But what if everything you've been told is only half the story? Picture this: a dark night, a storm brewing on the horizon, and in the distance, a faint glow emanates from an ancient cathedral. Within its walls, hidden deep in the shadows, a book sits untouched for centuries, its pages filled with truths that have been buried, ignored, or distorted for millennia. The truth behind the story of angels and demons, the truth that has the power to change everything. It's easy to think of angels as messengers of light and demons as embodiments of evil. In the simplest terms, good versus evil, heaven versus hell. But dig a little deeper, and you'll realize that the story is far more complex than that. What if angels are not as pure as we believe them to be? And what if demons have a more intricate role in the grand design of the universe than we've been led to think? Throughout history, these beings have been described as either saviors or destroyers, depending on who you ask. But their true origins and purpose are often shrouded in mystery. Ancient civilizations, religious texts, and folklore all paint different pictures of these supernatural entities, each one with a different agenda, each one with a different lesson to teach. This isn't just another story of cosmic good and evil. This is the story of how these beings, once revered or feared, became symbols of something much bigger: the choices we face, the battles we fight within ourselves, and the moral dilemmas we navigate in our daily lives. The truth behind angels and demons is not simply about divine intervention or the forces of darkness. It's about the balance that exists between light and shadow, between what is perceived as good and evil, and how that balance plays out in the real world. You see, angels and demons are not just mythological creatures, they are metaphors for the very decisions we make every day, decisions that shape our lives and our businesses. In business, just like in life, we face moments when we have to choose between right and wrong, ethical and unethical, selflessness and selfishness. But the question isn't always so simple. In many cases, we must choose between two paths that both seem to offer something valuable. And much like the beings of light and darkness, these decisions are not always as clear-cut as we think. The truth behind these choices is complex, just as the real stories of angels and demons are layered with complexity, hidden meanings, and unexpected twists. So, what exactly is the truth behind angels and demons? What have we missed in the stories that have been passed down for generations? And more importantly, how can understanding the true nature of these entities help us navigate the challenges we face in our lives and businesses? In the following chapters, we will delve into the history, the myths, and the hidden truths behind these celestial beings. We will uncover the real story, not just the one we've been told, but the one that has been concealed from us. And as we do, we will learn lessons that can be applied to our own lives, decisions, and the way we approach business and success. The concept of angels and demons is ancient, deeply ingrained in many cultures and religions. But where did these beings truly come from? What is their real purpose? And how have they shaped human history? To understand the truth behind angels and demons, we must first journey back to their origins, both in the mythological and historical sense. In ancient times, the idea of celestial beings, creatures from the heavens or the underworld, was not uncommon. They were often seen as intermediaries between gods and humans, sent to deliver messages, offer protection, or, in some cases, punish wrongdoers. The stories of these beings were passed down through generations, with each culture adding its own spin on their nature, appearance, and role in the grand design of the universe. In Judeo-Christian tradition, the story of angels and demons begins in the very beginning. In the book of Genesis, angels were created by God as part of his divine plan, intended to serve as messengers and protectors. They were described as beings of immense beauty and power, whose sole purpose was to carry out God's will. They lived in heaven, dwelling in the presence of the Creator, and obeyed his every command without question. But as we know, the balance between light and darkness is never as simple as it seems. In the same tradition, we are introduced to the first fallen angel, Lucifer. According to the story, Lucifer was once one of the most powerful and revered angels, a being of great beauty and wisdom. He was considered one of God's most trusted servants. Yet something changed within him. Pride began to take root in his heart, and he sought to overthrow God, to be the ruler of heaven himself. Lucifer's rebellion was not just an act of defiance, it was the birth of evil as we understand it today. In his pride and desire for power, Lucifer became Satan, the adversary. His fall from grace marked the first great divide in the celestial realm. Heaven was no longer a place of pure light. With his rebellion, Lucifer took a third of the angels with him. And thus, the war between good and evil began. What's fascinating is that Lucifer's fall wasn't merely an act of evil. It was an act of rebellion against a system that, in his eyes, was flawed. Lucifer didn't see himself as evil at the time. He believed he was justified in his desire for autonomy. This raises a profound question: is evil truly evil? Or is it simply a matter of perspective? The angels who followed Lucifer likely felt the same way. Were they all inherently evil? Or were they simply misunderstood? This concept will play a key role in understanding the true nature of demons and angels, beings who, for all their power, are still shaped by human perceptions. The rebellion of Lucifer led to a dramatic shift in the cosmic order. Heaven was no longer a place of peace and unity, it had become a battleground between two opposing forces. God cast Lucifer and his followers out of heaven, sending them to the abyss, the dark and unknown depths of the universe. This event marked the birth of demons, who, like Lucifer, sought to challenge the divine order. They were seen as agents of chaos, each with their own motives, each representing a different aspect of temptation and sin. But let's step back for a moment. While this narrative is central to Christianity and Judaism, similar stories exist in other cultures. The Greeks had their own gods, each with their own armies of angels and demons, such as the Titans and the Furies. In ancient Mesopotamia, there were stories of divine beings, both good and evil, who influenced human affairs. The Zoroastrians, too, had a dualistic view of the universe, where the supreme god, Ahura Mazda, was opposed by Angra Mainyu, the evil spirit, with the eternal battle between good and evil playing out in the world. These various traditions share a common thread: the struggle between light and dark, good and evil, angels and demons. Yet, they all also hint at something deeper, something that transcends the supernatural, the human need for balance. These stories were not just about celestial beings, they were metaphors for the internal struggles that we all face. Angels and demons, in their many forms, represent the dichotomy within us all. In our everyday lives, we often feel torn between our higher ideals, the angelic voice that tells us to do good, to help others, to seek justice, and our darker impulses, the temptation to take shortcuts, to be selfish, or to indulge in desire and greed. This internal battle is something we all experience, whether we're conscious of it or not. In business, this battle is ever present. The decisions we make each day can either elevate us to new heights or drag us down into the abyss. Think about it, every time we face a tough choice, whether it's about honesty, integrity, or ambition, we're faced with an angel and a demon in our minds. The angel whispers, "Do what's right, even if it's hard." The demon urges, "Take the easier path, the one that brings immediate rewards." The truth behind angels and demons, then, is not simply in their celestial origins. It's in the way they mirror our own internal struggles. When we make decisions, we are not just choosing between right and wrong, we are choosing who we want to become. Each choice is a reflection of our character, our values, and our vision for the future. The battle between angels and demons, light and darkness, is not just a myth. It's the story of every decision we make in life, especially in the business world. And the more we understand this battle, the better equipped we will be to navigate the challenges that lie ahead. As we dive deeper into the concept of angels and demons, it becomes increasingly clear that these celestial beings are not just symbols of good and evil. They represent the internal forces that drive human behavior, the choices we make in moments of struggle, and the consequences that follow. The truth behind angels and demons is not only found in ancient stories or religious texts, it's embedded in the fabric of our everyday lives, particularly in the way we navigate the complex world of business. To understand the true nature of these celestial beings, we must first examine how they influence human behavior. Take the concept of temptation. For example, temptation is the essence of the demon's influence. The demon does not appear with horns and fangs, rather, it manifests as a voice in our heads, a whisper that urges us to take the easy way out, to compromise our morals for the sake of success or immediate gratification. In the business world, temptation often comes in the form of shortcuts, unethical practices, or the pursuit of profit at any cost. It's the allure of quick wins, the promise of rewards that seem too good to resist. On the other side, the angel represents our better nature, the voice of integrity, honesty, and long-term vision. The angel reminds us that true success is built on trust, hard work, and ethical decision-making. In business, this is the voice that tells us to build relationships based on mutual respect, to operate with transparency, and to value the well-being of others over personal gain. But just like in the celestial realm, the battle between the angel and the demon in our own minds is never simple. In business, the decisions we make are often filled with gray areas. There are moments when both paths, one driven by ethics, the other by expediency, seem equally valid. The demon's voice may argue that cutting corners, manipulating the system, or exploiting others is a common practice, something that everyone does to get ahead. After all, the business world can be ruthless, so why not do whatever it takes to survive? To win? The angel, however, calls for patience, for diligence, for building a reputation and a company that stands the test of time. This is where the true challenge lies. Just like the ancient battles between angels and demons, the struggle in business is not always clear-cut. Sometimes, the right path is the one that feels hardest to take. It requires sacrifice, patience, and a long-term view, but in the end, it is the path that leads to lasting success, the kind that is built on a solid foundation and sustainable practices. Consider a real-world example, the story of a company that faced a major financial setback. The CEO, a leader known for his ethical stance, was presented with an opportunity to cut corners in order to make a quick recovery. The deal would have brought in significant profits, but at the cost of compromising the company's values. The demon urged him to take the deal. After all, it would help the company recover quickly. But the angel within him reminded him of his company's mission, its commitment to customers, and the long-term vision for the brand. In the end, the CEO chose to reject the tempting offer, opting instead to rebuild the company slowly but surely. The decision was difficult, but it paid off. The company regained its footing, and its reputation remained intact. This story is not unique. It is a reflection of the ongoing battle that business leaders face every day. The decisions we make in moments of temptation can shape the trajectory of our careers, our companies, and our personal lives. The truth behind angels and demons is not just a philosophical or religious concept, it's a very real force that influences our choices in every arena of life. But what happens when the battle becomes more complicated? When the demon's voice becomes louder, more insistent, and the consequences of choosing the wrong path seem less clear? This is where the real test of character begins. When the stakes are high, when failure seems imminent, we are often forced to confront our darkest impulses. It's in these moments that the true nature of our decisions is revealed. Do we act out of fear and desperation, or do we hold firm to our values, even when the world seems to be crumbling around us? The stories of angels and demons are filled with such moments. In the Christian tradition, Lucifer's rebellion was born out of pride and the desire to seize power. But pride is not the only temptation we face in business. There are many other demons that whisper in our ears: fear, greed, envy, and a host of other emotions that cloud our judgment and lead us astray. These demons are not always as overt as Lucifer's desire for power. Sometimes they appear in subtler forms, like the desire to be liked, to fit in, or to avoid conflict. In the business world, they can manifest as the pressure to conform, to follow the crowd, or to compromise our integrity to gain favor. In each of these instances, the angel's voice calls us back to what is truly important. The angel reminds us that our values are not negotiable, that our reputation is our most valuable asset, and that true success comes from doing what is right, not what is easy. But to hear the angel's voice, we must be willing to pause, to reflect, and to make the difficult choice that aligns with our highest principles. In the end, the truth behind angels and demons is not just about the supernatural. It's about the internal battle we all face, the constant struggle to make choices that are aligned with our deepest values. Whether in business or in life, We will all encounter moments when we must choose between what is right and what is easy. Between the angel's call to integrity and the demon's temptation to take shortcuts. And it is in these moments that we truly discover who we are. As the battle between angels and demons rages on, both within the cosmic realm and within each of us, there comes a moment when we must confront the consequences of our choices. These choices, whether driven by virtue or temptation, shape our lives, our businesses, and ultimately, our legacy. The struggle for redemption is not just a spiritual journey, it is a human one. One that we experience daily in our decision-making, in the way we treat others, and in how we conduct ourselves in the business world. At the heart of this struggle lies the concept of redemption. In many religious and philosophical traditions, redemption is seen as the process by which a fallen being, whether angelic or human, seeks to restore their purity and alignment with a higher moral standard. For Lucifer and his fallen angels, redemption is not an option, they have chosen their path, and the consequences are irreversible. But for humans, the possibility of redemption remains. We are not bound by the same fate as Lucifer, and it is within our power to change, to learn from our mistakes, and to grow. In the world of business, redemption often comes in the form of a second chance. It may be a moment of crisis, a failure, or a poor decision that puts everything at risk. But just as the fallen angels cannot return to heaven, we as business leaders have the opportunity to reflect, to acknowledge our mistakes, and to make the necessary changes to move forward. Redemption is about learning from the past, not being bound by it. It is about owning our flaws and using them as stepping stones toward growth and improvement. Consider the story of a company that was once at the top of its industry, only to face a dramatic downfall due to a series of bad decisions. The CEO, once hailed as a visionary, had succumbed to the temptations of greed and power. In an attempt to keep the company afloat, he made unethical decisions, betraying employees, customers, and investors alike. The company's reputation plummeted, and many thought it was beyond saving. Yet, in the midst of this crisis, the CEO found the courage to confront his mistakes. He sought redemption not through more deceit or manipulation, but through transparency, accountability, and a commitment to righting the wrongs of the past. The path to redemption in business is never easy. It requires humility, a willingness to admit failure, and the strength to rebuild from the ground up. It also requires a deep understanding of the consequences of one's actions. Just as a fallen angel cannot simply return to heaven without consequence, a business leader cannot erase the damage caused by unethical behavior without effort. The road to redemption is often long and fraught with challenges, but it is not impossible. In these moments of crisis, it is crucial to remember the lessons that the angels and demons teach us. The demon, in its many forms, may seek to keep us locked in a cycle of temptation, shame, and denial. It may whisper that we are too far gone, that we cannot change, that redemption is beyond our reach. But the angel, ever patient and wise, reminds us that growth is possible. The angel speaks to our better nature, calling us to rise above our past mistakes and make the right choices moving forward. It is the angel's voice that gives us the strength to seek redemption, even when the path seems uncertain. One of the key elements of this journey toward redemption is the power of reflection. Just as angels and demons represent different aspects of our psyche, so too do our successes and failures. In business, this means taking the time to assess our decisions, to learn from our experiences, and to make conscious choices that align with our core values. Reflection is the process by which we separate ourselves from the chaos of our daily lives and look at the bigger picture. It is in this space of reflection that we can hear the angel's voice most clearly. When we reflect on the decisions we've made, both the good and the bad, we gain a deeper understanding of ourselves. We begin to see the patterns that drive our behavior, the motivations that guide our actions. This is not an easy process. It requires honesty and vulnerability, but it is only through this level of self-awareness that we can truly grow and evolve. Just as an angel is a being of clarity and light, so too must we seek to cultivate clarity in our own lives. In business, this process of self-reflection can take many forms. It might involve taking a step back from a stressful project to reassess our priorities. It might mean confronting the mistakes we've made in the past and taking steps to fix them. It might even mean stepping away from a business venture that no longer aligns with our values. Whatever form it takes, reflection allows us to realign ourselves with our true purpose and rediscover the path to redemption. But redemption is not only about individual growth, it is also about the impact we have on others. In business, the relationships we build with employees, customers, and partners are at the core of our success. These relationships are often tested in times of crisis, when temptations to compromise, deceive, or cut corners are most powerful. It is in these moments that our integrity, our ability to rise above the demon's whispers, is most important. True redemption comes not only from within but also from our actions and how we treat others. A business leader's journey to redemption is not a solitary one. It involves the people around us, the team members we inspire, the clients we serve, and the communities we impact. The angel's call to do what is right extends beyond ourselves. It encompasses the collective good. In seeking redemption, we must ask ourselves not only how we can improve but how we can help others do the same. How can we create a business culture that fosters integrity, accountability, and trust? How can we lead by example, showing others that redemption is possible, even in the darkest of times? Ultimately, the truth behind angels and demons is not just about the cosmic struggle between good and evil. It is about the choices we make, the values we uphold, and the redemption we seek. In business, as in life, we are constantly faced with decisions that test our character. But by reflecting on our choices, learning from our mistakes, and striving for redemption, we can rise above the darkness and build something greater than ourselves. The angels and demons will continue to exist within us, guiding us, tempting us, challenging us, but it is through our choices, our actions, and our commitment to doing what is right that we can transcend the struggle and find our path to redemption. And in doing so, we can leave behind a legacy of integrity, growth, and lasting success. The journey through life and business is filled with moments where the path ahead is uncertain, and the choices we must make seem equally difficult. In these moments, the battle between angels and demons becomes most apparent, not just as an external force but as an internal struggle that shapes our decisions, our actions, and ultimately our success. Every entrepreneur, every leader, faces this battle between the temptation to take shortcuts, compromise values, or act out of fear, and the call to do what is right, to stand firm in the face of adversity, and to make decisions that align with our highest principles. Temptation is a constant presence in business. It is not a rare occurrence that business leaders face, but a daily challenge that tests the limits of our integrity, determination, and patience. From the moment we begin our entrepreneurial journey, the world offers us a myriad of temptations, shortcuts that promise immediate success, offers that seem too good to refuse, and opportunities to bend the rules in exchange for temporary gain. It is in these moments that the demon's voice grows loudest, whispering to us that we deserve success at any cost, that the ends justify the means, and that everyone is playing the same game. So why not take advantage? In such a competitive environment, the temptation to compromise is powerful. The demon may encourage us to cut corners, to take unethical shortcuts to win clients, or to manipulate situations for personal gain. After all, success often seems like it's about winning at all costs. But is that true success? Is that the path that will lead to fulfillment and long-term prosperity? Or will it eventually lead to regret, damaged relationships, and a tarnished reputation? This is where the angel's guidance becomes essential. The angel represents the voice of reason, reminding us that true success is not measured by immediate victories but by the integrity of our actions, the authenticity of our relationships, and the sustainability of our business practices. The angel urges us to take the harder, longer road, the one that requires patience, hard work, and the courage to make the right decision, even when the temptations are overwhelming. This is not an easy path to follow, but it is the one that leads to true growth, both as individuals and as leaders. The choice between the angel's call and the demon's whisper is not always clear. In many cases, the temptation may appear legitimate, even rational. Perhaps the deal that seems too good to pass up promises a substantial financial gain, or the shortcut offers a way to avoid a costly setback. In these moments, the demon's voice is often convincing, making us question whether the angel's path is worth the struggle. But it is precisely at these crossroads that the true test of character arises. The angel's message is not just about avoiding unethical decisions, it is about building something that will stand the test of time. Success in business is not just about winning today, it is about creating something that will last for years to come. Something that will continue to grow and thrive even when the initial excitement fades. The angel reminds us that success built on a foundation of honesty, trust, and integrity is far more valuable than success achieved through manipulation or deceit. This journey requires us to confront our own fears and insecurities. The demon often appeals to our ego, promising us power, control, and recognition. It plays on our fear of failure, convincing us that in order to succeed, we must outshine others, take shortcuts, and put ourselves ahead of everyone else. The angel, however, calls us to be humble, to embrace collaboration, and to recognize that true leadership comes from lifting others up, not tearing them down. There is no more vivid illustration of this than the story of a startup that faced fierce competition in its early years. The founders, passionate about their mission, struggled to keep up with larger, more established competitors. In their desperation, they were offered an opportunity to exploit a legal loophole that would have given them a significant advantage in the marketplace. The temptation to take the deal was strong, especially with the pressure mounting to survive in a competitive industry. The demon whispered, "This is the only way to win." But the founders, after much internal reflection, chose to reject the offer. They decided to stay true to their mission, to build their company with integrity, and to play the long game. While the decision made it harder to compete in the short term, it ultimately paid off. Their reputation for honesty and transparency attracted loyal customers and investors, and the company grew steadily, gaining trust in the industry. This is the power of the angel's voice. It does not promise instant results or easy victories. Instead, it calls us to make decisions that align with our deepest values. Even when the immediate rewards are not obvious, the angel's path is a slow burn, but it is a burn that endures. It is the difference between a quick flash of light and a steady, lasting flame. When faced with temptation, the battle becomes internal. Our mind and heart become the battlefield where we must decide which voice to follow. The demon's whispers may seem convincing, but the angel's call is rooted in a deeper truth. The reality of business is that there will always be challenges. There will always be moments of doubt, and there will always be external pressures pushing us to compromise our values. But it is in these moments that the angel's voice becomes the beacon of light, guiding us through the darkness. The lessons learned from this battle are not just theoretical, they are practical, applicable to every decision we make as business leaders. In moments of temptation, we must remind ourselves of the bigger picture, the long-term vision that we are working toward. We must remember that the choices we make today will shape the legacy we leave behind. If we choose the path of integrity, we may not see the immediate rewards, but we will build a foundation that will support future success. On the other hand, if we succumb to the temptation of shortcuts and unethical practices, we may win in the short term, but the consequences will eventually catch up with us. The battle between angels and demons is not a battle that is ever truly won or lost, it is a constant struggle. A series of decisions that we face every day. But by choosing to listen to the angel's call, by remaining steadfast in our commitment to ethical practices, we can navigate the complexities of business with confidence. We can overcome adversity, make better decisions, and ultimately achieve a success that is both meaningful and sustainable. In the end, the decision to follow the angel or the demon is yours. But remember, the angel's path, though difficult, will always lead to a greater sense of fulfillment, a deeper sense of purpose, and a business that is built on integrity and trust. And in the end, that is the kind of success that will stand the test of time. The final part of the journey is perhaps the most important. This is where we must put everything we have learned into action. We have explored the internal struggle between the angel and the demon, the power of reflection, the necessity of redemption, and the role of temptation in shaping our decisions. But now, the true test of character arrives. How do we apply these lessons when faced with the toughest challenges? The ones that threaten to derail everything we've worked for? How do we emerge from these battles stronger, wiser, and more determined to stay on the path that aligns with our higher values? In business and life, we will inevitably face moments of intense pressure. These moments often come unexpectedly, when we least expect them. They are the tests of our integrity, the challenges that force us to confront our darkest fears and insecurities. It is easy to say that we would always make the right decision when the stakes are low. But when the stakes are high, when our livelihood, our reputation, and our very future are on the line, will we still have the courage to choose the path of righteousness? The path of the angel? At this stage, the battle is no longer between temptation and temptation alone. It is the battle between who we are in our deepest core and who we are under pressure. The choices we make in these moments define who we are as individuals, as business leaders, and as human beings. This is where the true power of the angel's influence becomes evident. The angel, after all, is not simply a voice that calls us to do what is right in easy moments, but the guide who helps us find our way when everything seems to be falling apart. Consider the case of a company that was once on the brink of success but found itself at the edge of collapse during an economic downturn. The founder, who had built the company from the ground up, found himself at a crossroads. The pressure was immense. Investors were demanding results, employees were depending on him for their livelihoods, and the market was unforgiving. In his moment of crisis, he was offered a deal that would save the company, an unethical deal that promised quick profits but would sacrifice the integrity he had spent years building. The demon, in this case, was loud and clear. It whispered to the founder, "This is your last chance. Take the deal, and you'll be saved. Do whatever it takes to keep the business alive." The temptation was overwhelming, but the founder chose a different path. Instead of taking the unethical deal, he made the difficult decision to cut costs, streamline operations, and communicate honestly with his investors and employees. The road ahead was uncertain, and the company faced significant challenges, but the founder's commitment to integrity remained unshaken. This moment of truth was his final test, and it proved that the lessons learned through the angel's guidance were not just theoretical ideas. They were practical tools that could help him navigate the toughest of times. By choosing the harder, more transparent route, he not only saved his company but also strengthened its position for the long term. His leadership earned the respect of employees and customers, and the company slowly but steadily recovered. This story exemplifies a fundamental lesson: the decisions we make in times of pressure shape our future. The angel's voice is the voice that tells us to stay true to our core values. Even when it seems like the world is against us, it reminds us that success is not about winning at all costs, but about playing the game with honor and respect, even when it is hard. This is the essence of real leadership. But how do we embrace these lessons and apply them consistently? The key is to create a habit of listening to the angel's voice and making decisions that reflect our values in both big and small ways. This requires constant self-awareness and reflection. It means regularly assessing our actions and decisions, asking ourselves whether we are staying true to what we believe in or whether we are being swayed by external pressures. In business, this is not always easy. The pressure to succeed, to outperform the competition, to meet deadlines and expectations can lead us to take shortcuts. But the real power of leadership lies in the ability to lead with integrity, to choose the path of the angel even when the road is difficult. The angel does not promise instant rewards, but it does promise a sense of peace, fulfillment, and long-term success. It offers the confidence that comes from knowing we have acted according to our highest standards. At the same time, it is essential to acknowledge that we will make mistakes. The battle between angels and demons is a constant one, and we are bound to face moments of weakness. But failure is not the end, it is part of the journey. The key is not to allow our mistakes to define us but to use them as stepping stones for growth. Just as the fallen angels cannot return to their original state, we may not always be able to undo the harm caused by our past decisions. But we can learn, adapt, and grow stronger from those experiences. One of the most significant lessons we can take from the angel's guidance is the importance of forgiveness. Not only must we forgive others when they wrong us, but we must also forgive ourselves for the mistakes we have made. We must understand that redemption is a process, not an event. It requires us to let go of guilt, shame, and regret, and to move forward with the understanding that every day offers a new opportunity to make better choices. As we move forward, we must also remember that the choices we make have a ripple effect on those around us. Our decisions do not exist in a vacuum, they impact our teams, our families, and our communities. When we lead with integrity, when we make decisions that align with our higher values, We set an example for others to follow. We inspire those around us to do the same. The angel's voice is not just a call to personal righteousness, it is a call to lift others up, to help them find their own path to redemption, and to create a culture of trust and integrity in every aspect of our lives. In the end, the struggle between angels and demons is not about winning or losing. It is about the choices we make in the face of adversity. It is about choosing the right path, not just when it is easy, but when it is hard. It is about understanding that the journey is not a sprint, but a marathon, and that the true measure of success is not found in immediate victories, but in the long-term impact we have on those around us. As you stand at the crossroads of your own journey, whether in business or in life, ask yourself, which voice will you listen to? The demon that whispers in your ear, tempting you with shortcuts and easy wins? Or the angel that calls you to rise above your circumstances, to choose integrity, to make the difficult decisions that will lead to lasting success? The choice is yours, and it will define the path you walk. The angel's call is always there, ready to guide you when you need it most. Will you answer? As we come to the end of our journey through the mysterious realms of angels and demons, the question that remains is clear: what does all of this mean for our lives and our work? How do we apply the lessons learned from this exploration of opposing forces to the realities of business, leadership, and personal growth? The truth is, the story of angels and demons is not just one of mythology or religious symbolism. It is a story that unfolds every day in our decisions, our actions, and the choices we make when confronted with temptation, adversity, and the inevitable conflicts that arise in the pursuit of success. It is a story that shapes who we are and who we ultimately become. And while the battle between good and evil may seem abstract, its consequences are real and profound. In business, as in life, we face constant tests of character. Each day, we are confronted with decisions that challenge our integrity, our ethics, and our values. These decisions are not always clear-cut. The path of righteousness is often the harder path, and it requires more effort, more patience, and a greater commitment to doing what is right, even when the rewards are not immediate. The temptation to take shortcuts, to bend the rules, to give in to fear and pressure is always there. The demon's whispers are constant, but so too is the angel's call to higher principles, to stand firm in our values, and to choose the long-term benefit over the short-term gain. Ultimately, the battle is not just external, it is internal. It is a struggle to maintain our integrity in the face of challenges and uncertainty. And just as in the mythological stories, the choices we make in these critical moments shape the course of our journey. Will we choose the path of the angel, standing true to our values even when it seems difficult, even when the world seems to be offering us easier ways out? Or will we succumb to the voice of the demon, chasing fleeting victories that ultimately leave us empty and unfulfilled? The answer to this question lies in our ability to make conscious, deliberate choices. It lies in our willingness to look beyond the immediate temptation and see the bigger picture. The choices we make today will ripple into our futures, affecting not only our personal lives but also the lives of those around us, our teams, our families, and our communities. Every decision we make has consequences, and the legacy we leave behind is determined by the actions we take, the principles we uphold, and the integrity with which we conduct ourselves. True success in business and life is not defined by the number of deals we close, the profits we make, or the accolades we receive. It is defined by the impact we have on the people around us. It is about creating something that lasts, something that stands the test of time. The angel reminds us that lasting success is built on a foundation of trust, honesty, and integrity. It is about choosing to do the right thing, even when no one is watching, and even when it is difficult. This is where the real power of the angel's message lies. It is not a call to avoid temptation entirely. After all, we are all human, and we will all face moments of weakness. Instead, it is a call to rise above those moments, to learn from them, and to become stronger in the process. It is about understanding that we are not perfect, but that we can always strive to do better, to be better. And when we inevitably fall short, it is about having the courage to pick ourselves up, learn from our mistakes, and keep moving forward. The story of angels and demons is also a story of redemption. It is a story of forgiveness, not only for others but for ourselves. The demon may lead us astray, But the angel offers us a way back. Just as the fallen angels were once pure and are capable of redemption, we too can change, grow, and evolve. We can learn from our past mistakes and use those lessons to build a better future. Redemption is not a one-time event, it is an ongoing process. One that requires self-awareness, humility, and a commitment to personal growth. As we reflect on the journey we have undertaken, it becomes clear that the choice between angels and demons is not a choice between absolute good and absolute evil. Rather, it is about the continuous struggle to do better, to choose the right path, and to stay true to our values in the face of adversity. We will all face challenges, temptations, and moments of doubt, but it is in these moments that our true character is revealed. The final decision, the one that will determine the course of our journey, is ours. The angel's voice is always present, guiding us toward integrity, honesty, and long-term success, but it is up to us to listen. It is up to us to choose to follow the path of righteousness, to make decisions that align with our deepest values, even when it is hard. And when we falter, as we inevitably will, it is up to us to find our way back, to learn, and to grow. As business leaders, we have the power to influence others, to create cultures of integrity and trust, and to inspire those around us to do the same. Our decisions have far-reaching effects, and the example we set can impact generations to come. When we choose the path of the angel, we not only shape our own destiny but also contribute to the greater good of the world around us. So, as you stand at the crossroads of your own journey, whether in business or in life, ask yourself, what kind of legacy do you want to leave? What kind of leader do you want to be? Will you follow the angel's call and rise above the temptations that surround you? Or will you succumb to the easier path of the demon? The choice is yours, and the future you build will be determined by the decisions you make today. The truth behind angels and demons is not just a story, it is a reality we face every day. And as we move forward, we must remember that we have the power to choose which path we will follow, which voice we will listen to, and which legacy we will leave behind. The angel's call is always there, waiting for us to answer. Will you choose to listen?